Hi guys, welcome to an ultra spooky episode of Getting Saucy with Chef Cheryl. So obviously Halloween's coming up and it happens to be my absolute favorite holiday. Yes, it is a ridiculous holiday for an adult to love, but it's my holiday all the same. So I figured we would do a fun cake decorating episode of Getting Saucy for you guys. So what I'm going to do is a drip cake. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a layered cake. I've chosen a lemon cake with a raspberry filling and a vanilla buttercream. I've tinted that vanilla buttercream to orange, and then we're going to do a chocolate dip around the sides and a little bit of white chocolate shards. But we'll get into all that as the decorating goes on. I am here at Gerhard's Glenside in Glenside, Pennsylvania, and I am in our GE monogram kitchen. And today I am going to be doing a little talking to you about GE and their finishes. I did a whole blog on it. I think it's fantastic that you no longer have to do just a black or white option on your fridge. Our finishes today fit our personalities, they fit our kitchens, they fit our homes, and it's fantastic. So I am actually working in, like I said, the GE monogram. Today I have a stainless steel finish. GE has black slate, black stainless. There's tons to offer you. So let's go ahead and get into our cake, and we'll talk a little bit more about GE in a moment. So what I have here is two 8-inch rounds baked off, and what I've done is just slightly trimmed the top of my cake. This one had a little bit of a mound. You want to trim that so that your cake sits nice and evenly on your plate when you're decorating, okay? So what I'm going to do to make my cake stick is I'm just going to give it a little bit of fresh buttercream straight on the center of my plate, okay? Then I'm going to invert my cake ever so slightly and give it a nice little press, nice and soft. Obviously you don't want to push all the way through your cake. I have a 12-inch cake decorating board here because I like to have a lot of room on the outside of my cake. I don't want anybody to ever have to try and touch the frosting to lift up the cake. So what I'm going to do is I am going to fill our piping bag with, here I have just a clear plastic piping bag, and inside is a 1M tip from Wilton. It's a big star tip. It's what you classically use for cupcakes and such. So I'm just going to fold it down like so. And I'm going to use my spatula to get a few scoops of my orange buttercream inside. Okay, perfect. So now I'm going to simply close my bag up, and I'm going to use my other hand to squeeze my icing all the way down to the bottom of the tip, okay? This is how you keep your icing from coming out of your piping bag while you're decorating. So all I'm simply going to do is take my icing bag and give it a few twists. And then I'm going to use the pressure of my hand in the OK symbol like this. I'm going to use the pressure of my hand to squeeze out the proper amount of frosting, okay? So what I'm creating here is a dam for our filling. So this keeps the filling from running out onto our beautiful frosting. Perfect, just like so. And today, like I said, I'm going to do a lemon raspberry cake. So let me grab my raspberry preserves. Like I said, I am in a stainless steel GE kitchen, and I like the stainless. I love the beauty of stainless. But black stainless is becoming my second favorite due to not having to clean up as many fingerprints. I'm a mom, I have young ones at home, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate, so that's lovely. So what I'm going to do is I have here Smucker's Red Raspberry Preserves. You can use your own, you can use whatever brand that you like or prefer. So I'm just going to slide that right down onto my cake, just a few scoops full. You want a nice even layer, but you don't want to put too much filling, okay? So I'm just going to use my small spatula. Actually, I'm going to use the back of my spoon because my spatula wants to bend to my preserves. Smucker's makes a nice thick preserve. That's why we like the Smucker's here. Alright, so we're going to get that all filled in. So you just want a nice even layer to go around your cake, okay? And like I said, we don't want too much because we don't want the weight of our top layer of cake to push that filling out the sides, okay? It's the last thing we want. Perfect. Okay, so I'm just going to take my second layer, and like I said, I'm going to invert, and then I'm going to place straight on the top, okay? So we're going to give that a little squeeze, make sure our cake's all together, and then I'm going to go back to the same piping bag, which I created my dam with, and I'm just going to fill in any space in between those two cake layers. We seem to be on a pretty straight and narrow here, which is fantastic. Okay, great. So next up, what we're going to do is frost our cake, and I'm going to teach you guys what I find to be the simplest technique to get your cake frosted, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to take a few scoops of my buttercream frosting and put them right on the top of my cake. That's where you're going to want to start, okay? So now I'm going to use my hand to steady the cake while I slide my frosting right across the top, okay? So you're just going to steady your cake just like that. Make sure it gets pushed all the way through. Now my cake wants to slide because it's on my cake board, so I'm going to take that down. I mean my cake decorating turntable, so I'm going to take that down so I can just get a smooth top even layer. Perfect. My frosting is a little bit thick. That's okay. For you at home, if you need to thin out your frosting, you're just going to add 1 tablespoon of milk or whatever your liquid may be that you're using at a time, because you can always add more liquid, but you can never take it away, okay? All right, perfect. So next we'll get on to icing the sides. Yes, I am leaving it right like that because we're going to connect our two together. So what I'm going to do to stop some of my sliding is I'm just going to place a paper towel straight underneath my cake board. Give it some grip. Okay, wonderful. So now we'll go back in. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab some frosting off of my sides and start filling in the sides. So like I said, Halloween is my absolute favorite time of year. So I have been every costume I think you can think of. And my favorite things to do is to host my annual Halloween party. So I host a costume party for the family, for the kids, for everyone who wants to come. We always have the best time. I just think it's a fun time of year. It's a time to remember we don't need to take everything so seriously. Everything doesn't need to be so black and white in our lives, right? Time to have fun, enjoy your family, beginning of the holiday season, and beginning of cooking season, which I absolutely love. I love to be in the kitchen, I love to bake, I love to cook, and I love to share that with my family and friends. So when we get to these holiday seasons, cooking season as we say, I love it. It's one of my absolute favorites, and I hope it's one of your absolute favorites too. I hope you're ready for cooking season this year. Is your oven all set for that turkey or the ham that you're gonna put in? You should come down and see us. You know our experts at Gerhard's can help you build an amazing kitchen if you need something new or you'd like to revamp. So what I'm doing with the cake is I'm just adding frosting all around my sides. It's nice and messy, big old mess, and we're gonna clean it up and I'm gonna show you exactly how, okay? I always watch these cake tutorial videos where they have this beautiful and amazing cake, and I think, no one's cake starts off looking like that, right? No one. So we're just gonna fill it all in and let you guys see the realness of how you get a cake together. So like I said, if you need to thin your cake, your frosting down to get your cake completely covered, feel free to do that. No one's judging you. Okay. So now we got a little bit of frosting on all of our sides. So we're just gonna go back in and fill in all the holes of our cake. Okay, so I'm simply just dragging my 6-inch angled spatula straight back and using all the extra frosting that I've put on the cake to fill in the holes that did not get frosted yet, okay? Really smooth back and forth motion. Careful not to pull your icing off your cake because your cake batter, your sides of your actual cake will tear, and you don't want that. You don't want actual holes in your cake, right? So we're just gonna add a little extra frosting. Get everything nice and filled in. Now you can use any flavor of cake that you want for this recipe. If you wanted to do a caramel apple cake, you could do a nice apple cake with a caramel buttercream. Just make a simple buttercream and add some caramel to it, some melted caramel, or you could buy some caramel sauce from the store. You could also do a pumpkin and pecan. You could do a chocolate, a German chocolate. It's that time of year as well. Okay. So now we got frosting on all sides of our cake, okay? And you can see how nice and messy it really and truly looks when you first make a cake, right? We don't want any cake peeking through, so take a look around your cake and make sure there's no sides sticking out. All right, perfect. Now what I have here is a bench scraper. Simple kitchen tool, a few dollars. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna line my bench scraper up. First I'm gonna clean my board. I have a lot of icing on the bottom of my board, and I'm just gonna wipe that down. Then we'll actually clean the board in a little bit. Okay, perfect. So let's get back to what I was saying with our bench scraper. So we're gonna simply take our bench scraper and we're gonna run it around the sides of our cake to make a nice smooth appearance like we see in the bakery windows, okay? So simply hold your tool at the proper angle. You're going to go right up against that cake. Make sure you don't lean into your cake, okay? You want to keep it at a straight 90-degree angle. You're not going to rotate your hand. You're going to rotate the cake, okay? So like I said, we're just going to hold it right here, and then we're just going to pull nice and smoothly all the way around that cake. Get our nice, beautiful edge that we're looking for. And we're just going to simply push that cake frosting right back in. Now, I don't know if you guys can see how nice and flat and angled that cake is, but it is perfect. Just going to go around the top once more. Bring in some of my extra frosting that I have here. Wonderful. Okay. So now I'm going to teach you guys how to perfect the top of your cake. So what you're going to do is you're going to go back in with your 6-inch angled spatula, okay? You can pick these up at any craft store, so AC Moore or Michael's, and you can grab these. Just a few dollars, inexpensive little tool to help your baking. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my angled spatula, I'm going to put it at the top of my cake, and I'm going to pull into the cake, okay? Then I'm going to just simply wipe the excess off into my frosting bowl. Okay, we don't want to go back into the cake with icing on our spatula. So make sure you clean your spatula. There you go, just like so. Okay guys, welcome back. Is your cake plate all cleaned up and your cake all ready for our chocolate? I hope so. So what I have here in my bag is about 1/2 cup of chocolate chips with 1 tablespoon of shortening, just melted in 30-second increments in my microwave. So you're just going to give it a quick stir and then make sure that you don't put it in for longer than 30 seconds at one time because chocolate is very easy to seize up. You can also use candy melts. You can find those in your craft store while you're buying other tools. They're about $3 a bag and you can get them in all different flavors. You can get them in chocolate. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm just putting my chocolate inside a piping bag. You can also do this inside a Ziploc bag. I'm going to push all the chocolate into that corner, and then I'm just going to give it a little tiny snip at the edge, okay? Remember, this is melted chocolate, so if we cut too big, it's going to squeeze all the way out and run down the sides. We don't want that. All right, so what we're going to do with our chocolate is we're going to simply just squeeze at the edge. I'm going to start on this side, and then I'm going to spin it around so you guys can see, okay? So I'm just going to hold my bag at a 90-degree angle, and I'm going to use the pressure of my hand to squeeze a little or a lot, depending on how much of a drip I want down the side of my cake, okay? So we're going to start here, and we're going to do a nice big drip of that chocolate straight down. Okay, perfect. Then I'm going to move and do more here. And I'm going to move down and do even further here. Nice big drip. All the way down. Now I left my chocolate a little lumpy because I want mine to look like Halloween drips. Okay? I'm going to show you guys on this side, okay? So what we're going to do is we're just going to hold that chocolate and let it pour straight down the side. Move over to the next. Squeeze some more. Move over to the next and squeeze some more. Just like so, okay? Perfect. So now I'm going to go around the whole outside of my cake just like so. Even those beautiful drips down the side. Okay. I love the lumpy look of the chocolate for a very spooky Halloween. It's fantastic. So I'm going to add some drips straight up as well down the side of my cake. Wonderful. I'm going to go around this side. Just give it a nice squeeze and let that drip come all the way down. All right. So we've got a nice chocolate drip all around the sides. I'm going to go in with my piping bag and just add a few longer ones for my chocolate. There we go. Perfect. Straight in. And my chocolate is nice and melty, but it's also setting against my cold buttercream, which is wonderful. I'm just adding in long drips. It's okay if some of your chocolate drips down. We're going to put a little bit of decorations down the side. So no worries, okay? Let's give it a nice drip. Okay, perfect. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back in and add all of our decor. So what I have in front of me is a bunch of fondant decorations. Fondant is just a rolled sugar frosting, okay? So you can also make it with marshmallow. Maybe one day on Saucy we'll get into that. So I just wanted to show you guys how I made the pieces in front of me. So what I have is just a little ball of chocolate. So I'm gonna roll it out into a log form, okay? I'm just gonna give it a little push with my palm to get it nice and flat, okay? And when I have my little flat strip, I'm just gonna take one end with my finger and just roll straight up. Okay, and I'm just gonna keep rolling, keep rolling, keep rolling, keep rolling. And before you know it, what you have is a little beautiful orange fondant flower, okay? So just open up the petals of that flower so you can see. We're gonna add a few of those to our cake around the sides and around the top. And we are also going to add some of our chocolate shards onto our spooky Halloween cake, okay? So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna grab one of our little fondant pumpkins, simply made by rolling fondant into a ball and using a toothpick to indent the sides to look like pumpkins. All right, so there we go. We covered our first chocolate drip like we talked about, right? And I'm just gonna add a second little mini pumpkin in there. I'm gonna do the same to the other side. I'm gonna grab one of my big pumpkins and I'm gonna put a little, I'll put a medium-sized guy right next to him, okay? Then let's go in and decorate the top of our cake, shall we? So here I have white chocolate shards. So all I did was melt white chocolate, put a little drizzle of orange over top, and put a few candy corns inside to make it cute. This is also going to give height to our cake and presentation, which we absolutely want. Oh, I love how chunky our chocolate is. Can you guys see? Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my larger pieces so I can kind of figure out how I would like my backing to go. So with cake shards, you're just going to slide them straight into your cake, okay? Make sure they stand up nice and tall. Perfect. I'm gonna grab our second shard. I'm gonna put him right in the front. He's a beauty. So you're gonna push down into your cake to make sure your shards stand, okay? Just take a moment, look in your cake, see what you like the best. No need to rush anything, okay? So we're going to pop this piece off. We'll just add him right to the front like so. And we'll add in one more, I think. Wonderful, perfect, okay. So now we're gonna add to the top of our cake just a few of our beautiful little fondant flowers that we made, okay? Let's put a little bouquet across our front. Let's give it some more texture and technique. Now we can even go in here. I have our candy corns and I have our little pumpkin candies that come along with our candy corns. So we can stick a few of those guys in there if we'd like to. I think I will put a trio of 3 candy corns, maybe 4, on the sides of my cake. There we go. Put a little trio on top. Oh, that looks beautiful. I hope you guys can see at home. I'm going to do a second little trio with my brown and orange candy corns. And voila, just like so. So let's slide our cake a little closer to our camera so you guys can get the full effect of how our cake looks. I'm just going to go ahead and lift very carefully. Bring it in nice and close so you guys can see. And voila, together we have made an incredible Halloween cake that I know that your family will absolutely love. So join me again on another episode of Getting Saucy with Chef Cheryl, and we'll do more fun and exciting things here at our living kitchen at Gerhard's Appliances. I hope to see you there. Till then, stay saucy.